video, I'm going to be doing another Pretty Little Liars recap and reaction video for you guys. You guys seem to really like these videos, and since the 5th season just started out, I really wanted to get a Pretty Little Liars reaction video up for you guys, and I thought this would be perfect to do a video on because last night was the 100th episode of Pretty Little Liars, and they definitely did not disappoint in this 100th episode. It was so freaking good. So when the episode starts out, one of the first things we see is that Jenna is back in Rosewood, and apparently she was living in New York. Did I miss something and they said that in another episode that Jenna moved to New York and I just totally missed it? But who freaking knows? So Jenna is back in Rosewood and she apparently is blind again and she lost her sight. Then it shows Toby and Spencer having a conversation, and Toby ends up getting a phone call from Jenna, and Jenna tells Toby that Shauna is dead and apparently she was murdered. Let's just take a second to talk about this Shauna thing because I haven't made a video about the episode where she was revealed as one of the A people. I don't know how I felt about that when they revealed Shauna as being one of the people on the A team. I thought it was kind of stupid. I was just like, seriously, if this is the A reveal, I'm gonna be so pissed because this is so stupid. And I also find it hilarious that Shauna actually died by Arya just pushing her off a stage. Like, literally, she just died by falling off of a stage. That almost makes sense. And the stage was like yay high, and she falls off of it, and boom, she's dead. Because, you know, that's how that actually happens. But whatever. Shauna's dead, Arya killed her, the girls were trying to hide it, and now it is coming out that Shauna is dead. And another big part of this episode was that Allie finally went back to Rosewood, and she finally went back to school. So Allie has this big scene and she comes back to school, and she's saying that she wants to make amends with everybody that she hurt. And I'm not really sure if I'm buying this whole Allie turning a new leaf thing and her trying to be good and not being fake, and I don't know if I'm buying it. I think they're just trying to make us believe that. Then it flashes to Spencer's mom at the school, and she says that Spencer needs to leave with her right now and they need to go home and pack because she is leaving Spencer's father. And in the previous episodes, they are trying to hint at that Spencer's dad is the one that actually killed Allie's mom. But we all know whenever they make somebody look guilty in Pretty Little Liars, they are never actually guilty, and they are making him look so guilty that he killed Allie's mom. We know he didn't actually kill Allie's mom. There's just no way. That's how Pretty Little Liars works. Then one of my favorite parts from last night was Caleb finally came back. Literally, when he flipped around in the coffee shop and Hannah looked at him and he looked at Hannah and they had this moment of like, oh my god, we were so in love before. I was like, oh, pitter patter, my little heart. They were so cute together. I freaking love Caleb and Hannah, and they just need to get back together, and if they don't get back together, I am gonna be so freaking pissed because they're adorable and they need to be together. That is just all I have to say about that. So Caleb comes back, they have this awkward moment because Hannah is getting coffee for her and her new boyfriend, love interest on the show, Travis, which I'm not exactly sure how I feel about Travis. I mean, he's cute, he's nice, he treats Hannah well, but he's not Caleb, so I don't really care because they need to get back together. That's just all there is to it. So Hannah sees Caleb and it just totally throws her for a loop, and she ends up going to this party with Lucas, and she gets wasted, completely wasted out of her mind, which obviously is what you do when you're dating some guy, and then you end up running into the ex-love of your life. You're like, hey, I don't know how to handle this, so you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna get drunk and I'm gonna call my ex-boyfriend 24/7 because that's what girls do. We insane. So Emily and Alison end up having this talk in Emily's room. Alison asks what they're gonna do that night, and Emily says that she has plans to, of course, hang out with the little swimmer chick, who I can't think of her name off the top of my head, but the little swimmer chick is distracting her because obviously whenever Pretty Little Liars brings in a new character onto the show, we always know that something's going on with that character and they're not good in some way, shape, or form. And of course, it turns out the little swimmer chick is actually working with Mona and Jenna because that's how this show works. And it flashes to what I have to say was hands down my favorite scene from last night's episode, probably one of my favorite scenes in the entire show, and that was Ezra and Arya finally hooking back up. Oh my god, this scene was so freaking hot, I can't even deal. Literally, they have this moment where they're like eating pie, and then he like rubs it off of her lip, and I was like, oh, something gonna happen. He just rubbed food off of her lip. And then he like pulls up his shirt and shows her the bullet wound and everything from when Shauna hit her, and she just like touches his stomach, and I was like, okay, touch his stomach. Okay, now kiss. You know what's coming, come on, kiss. And they have this moment, he's like, never say you're sorry for anything, and then he just starts kissing her, and that part where he picked her up and he put her on the kitchen countertop. Can we just take a second for how freaking amazing that scene was? I mean, honestly, that was just the perfect moment, and all the Ezra, Arya fans all around everywhere were probably screaming at their TV like I was, being like, yes, they finally are getting back together. There was this sexy scene with Ezra and Arya going on, and then it flashes into the scene with Alison and Emily, and Emily is spending the night with Alison, and all of a sudden they just turn and they're like cuddling in a bed together, and then all of a sudden Emily just starts making out with Alison, and they're just making out. I'm like, where the heck did this come from? Now they're a couple? What the heck is going on here? So who the heck knows what's going on with this Emily-Alison thing? I mean, we all know that Emily always had a thing for Alison, but Alison, I just think she's messing with Emily's head. I don't know, I literally can't see this actually developing into a new relationship storyline. I just think that's too weird. So I think maybe Alison is vulnerable and she's leaning on Emily because she knows Emily's always going to be there. Or who knows, maybe Alison actually does have real feelings for Emily and this could be a new love interest on the show, Alison and Emily. What do you guys think about that? I'm not sure how I feel about it yet, but I guess we will see what happens because there was some kissing going on, some romanticalness with Emily and Alison going on. So this whole show was just a bunch of romanticalness going on, and I gotta say I don't hate it. I thought it was good that all my couples are getting back together. So hey, now Caleb and Hannah need to jump back on that train and get back together in next week's episode, and I will be a happy little girl. Okay, moving on. Then there is a scene with Alison, and she's leaving Emily's house, and she sees this car parked outside, and the car starts following her, and she gets all freaked out, so she starts running away, and then she ends up back in the infamous church where all this crap has gone down on this show. So she ends up in the church, and she's hearing something, and she goes to shut the window, and she turns around, and who is standing there? Of course, it's Mona. Mona and Alison end up having this confrontation, which has been building for 4 seasons, I feel like, since Mona first told Alison to disappear, and they have this confrontation, and Mona is telling her that she needs to leave, and that Mona knows that the girls were in New York, but Alison calls her out and says if she actually knew something that she would have told it by now. The girls get into more of a little tip, start arguing, she calls her loser Mona, and Mona slaps the living crap out of her, which I kind of thought was hilarious, and then Alison then slaps her back, which also was hilarious because they were having a little slap and girl fight, which is always funny to watch. That was their little tiff that they had, and Alison ends up sending the SOS to the rest of the girls, and the girls meet up, and they talk about the confrontation that she had with Mona, and of course, what does Alison do? She ends up lying to the girls because all Alison does is freaking lie. So she lies to the girls and just tells them that she had the confrontation with Mona and that Mona slapped her, and she just stood there when obviously we know she slapped back. But she lied to the girls and told her that she didn't. So the girls end up going to school, and Mona is all upset, and she's standing in the little A-team crowd with all these people, and Alison walks up and they're like, what's going on? And Mona has the little cut on her face, and she's acting all innocent and sad and upset, and Lucas gets all up in Alison's face and tells her that, like, oh, we thought you tried to change, but you're always the same Alison. It turns out that Mona was actually recording the whole confrontation on her cell phone, and she of course edited the little clip to show that she didn't slap Alison and that Alison just slapped her, so Alison ended up looking like the complete bad guy. And so the girls obviously find out that Alison lied to them, and they have this confrontation with her and say, like, how are we supposed to trust you if you're already lying to us again? You're never gonna change. They walk out, wah wah, it's all sad. So then there's this scene with Emily and Alison is trying to get Emily to forgive her and telling her that she didn't mean to lie and blah 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 blah. And of course, finally, thank God, Emily is not taking her crap and she's saying she doesn't believe her and blah 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 blah. Then all of a sudden, there's this flash of breaking news on the TV, and Alison stops and looks at it, and all of a sudden, apparently, they have found who the girl in Alison's grave actually was. So then Emily and Alison round all the girls together, and they have them come over to watch the reveal of who is in Alison's grave, and basically, they bring everybody into this house. I'm pretty sure they're at Emily's house, but don't quote me on that. And basically, every single person is in the room is somebody who, over all of the 5 seasons of Pretty Little Liars, has had some kind of confrontation with A, and the last people to get there are actually Hannah and Caleb. And when Caleb walks in, him and Alison have this moment where they just kind of look at each other and they give each other a look like they've either known each other for a long time or that they know like something's going on between the two of them that's a secret. So I'm really curious to see what is actually going on with Alison and Caleb, because obviously they gave each other the look, so we know something's going on and they're just doing a little teaser and trying to drive us all crazy because that's what Pretty Little Liars does. But then they announce who is actually actually in Alison's grave. So it actually turns out that it was a 17-year-old girl named Bethany Young that was actually at Radley at the same time that Alison allegedly was kidnapped or went missing. We're getting ready to announce it. I thought it was going to be like this big thing and we were like going to actually recognize the name of the person in the grave or something, and then they said the name and I was like on the edge of my seat. I'm like, oh my god, who is it? And then they're like, the girl in Alison De Laurentiis' grave was identified as Bethany Young. And I just kind of stared at my TV and I was like, who the hell Bethany Young? Then as soon as the announcement happens, all of a sudden all of the glass shatters in the house and everybody falls to the ground and there's this huge explosion outside and everybody runs outside and they see that Toby and Jenna's house is actually on fire and there was a huge explosion. All of a sudden everybody's phones goes off. It's like literally not even just the girls' phones. I literally think it was every single person that was inside of that house. All of their phones start going bloop 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 bloop. And that's how the episode ends. So we know A is back, which let's get real, nobody was shocked by that because we obviously knew Shauna wasn't A and there's like 15 million A's and the show's just gonna go on forever and we never go find out who A is because the show just likes to drive us crazy. So now on to my theories of what I actually think is going on. I honestly think at this point that Ren and Melissa are definitely somehow involved and somehow maybe like the head of the A team, or maybe Ren is actually like the head person on the A team. I think the whole Mona's army thing might be a totally separate thing than the actual A that is doing all these horrible things, and Mona just absolutely despises Alison and she just made this whole army of people that despise Alison also. But then I also think there's the side with the actual A person and the actual person doing all of these horrible things. I think it might be two separate things, or they could be connected. I'm not really sure, but I do feel like the bad people over on this side are Ren and Melissa. I think somehow they're connected. I really do think Ren has something to do with it and he really is bad because I can't remember which season this was, but it was when Mona got put back into Radley for confessing to killing Detective Wilden, and there was the scene with Mona and him and just talking back and forth, and then that was the only episode they ever hinted at that Ren was bad, like him talking on the phone to somebody and saying taking care of something or something along those lines. But they didn't like pick at it like they do when they're trying to convince us that somebody is actually bad. They just showed this little scene making us think he was bad and then they never touched on it again. And Ren has been around for every single season. He's always been there, and I don't know, I just really am starting to think that Ren is connected to it. And after Spencer's mom saying in this episode that Ren and Melissa are now back together and they're living separate from everybody, I just think they're bad. I mean, that just has bad written all over it. He's back together with Melissa. I don't know, I think he's bad, and that is just what I'm thinking right now. So I would love to hear what you guys think is going on and what your theories are, and if you agree with my little Ren theory that I just told you guys, or if you guys have a completely different theory, I would love to hear what you guys think. So just go ahead and leave any thoughts or theories or any kind of comments at all that you want to leave in the comments below, and let me know what you guys are thinking about the show and if you are liking the direction they are taking it. And if you guys did like this video and you want to see me do more Pretty Little Liars videos in the future, just go ahead and give this video a thumbs up and let me know. And also make sure to subscribe to my channel if you aren't already subscribed, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye guys!